Hello, everyone. Welcome to the June 18th edition of Stacking the Box. Myself, Iain, MacMillan, Sterling Holmes. Got a big show today. We have been tier ranking things lately, Sterling. Positions, teams. This week, decided to actually change it up. A little bit of a curveball this week. We're going to tier rank fan bases who deserve to win a Super Bowl, which I think is a fascinating question, and it's one that I've been thinking about a lot lately, especially in other sports, with Florida just continuing to win Stanley Cups, which might be the least deserving fan base to ever win any championship in the entire history of sports. So I thought it'd be interesting to turn that over to the NFL and talk about fan bases who deserve a Super Bowl win.
USA.
Okay, whatever. They have like three Americans on their team.
America.
They have like three Americans on their team.
They pay more. It means more. It's the SEC. It just
They
means
pay
more.
more because there's no in-state taxes. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Canadians are sitting here going, hey, we want to go actually play in Florida. That's the real powerhouse. It's the Panthers. Noted powerhouse. Original team. Florida Panthers. Edmonton Oilers. No, not quite.
Yeah.
So we are actually hurt.
Yeah, the NHL playoffs have legitimately pissed me off. Like past a bit, like I'm actually pissed about it.
Okay, now I feel bad.
Oh no, it's the same way. It's the same thing every year. It's this in no states with no income taxes get all the best players because they can pay them more, and now it's just Florida teams in the Stanley Cup every year. Or if it's not Florida, it's Vegas. Or if it's not Vegas, it's Dallas.
Maybe Canada needs to fix stuff, huh?
Yeah, we should no income taxes for professional hockey players in Canada. I'd support that bill.
Fair.
All right. So we are going to rank fan bases who deserve to win a Super Bowl, but we're gonna end the show with that as we usually do with the tier rankings. We're gonna start with some news, starting with the news that broke today. We talked about this player last week, Sterling. That is Jaire Alexander, the defensive back, formerly of the Green Bay Packers, has been signed by the Baltimore Ravens. It is a 1-year deal worth maximum of $6 million, including $2 million in incentives. Already adding to a stacked Baltimore defense, but of course the question remains the same as what we brought up last week, is whether or not he can stay healthy. We know that last 2 seasons he's only played in 7 games each, but his last 2 fully healthy seasons he's been second team All-Pro.
I'm looking forward to a phenomenal 7 games from Jaire Alexander.
Right. Yeah.
No, honestly, I think it's a good get for the Ravens. That's a fairly low risk. I mean, you don't typically get from the Chiefs' perspective here, I'm not trying to make it as Kansas City, but like if you're a Chiefs fan who is thrilled about Josh Simmons, right? For example, like a top 10 prospect, but because of the injuries he fell, but that's your chance of getting him into your organization. You're going to take that risk. Well, if you're the Ravens, this is a risk worth taking for the amount of money that you're giving up, right? Not often you get a chance to go out and try and bring in a all-pro type of corner. Yeah, there's going to be some concerns with it, but I think this is a great get for the Ravens. I think it's nice for Jaire Alexander as well when you're joining a very deep team, a great culture, an organization, and a defense that already has a ton of pieces. No longer do you have to be the guy. You can focus on being a guy. I'm actually a big fan of this move for both parties here. I do hope it works out for Jaire Alexander. I just hope that he doesn't have to call heads or tails or try to do the coin toss. Hopefully they're not going to Carolina this year, because if you remember that story, that one was hilarious.
Remind me of that story.
So he wasn't supposed to be a captain, but the game was in Carolina, and he decided that he was just going to go up and do the coin toss either way. He calls it, and instead of saying defer, right? You know, they want to defer. He goes defense. Well, if you say defense, what happens? You play defense both times to start and to start that game and the half. And then eventually the ref looks at him and goes, whoa. Do you mean defense or defer? And he goes, defer, I don't know, whatever. We want to be on defense first. We'll defer. He didn't know what it meant. And it was almost an utter disaster. And that all, again, stems from he wasn't supposed to be the captain. He just decided to go, and his reasoning was, well, coach must not have known I was from Carolina. He ends up getting suspended for a game because he didn't really ever apologize or figure out what was wrong in that scenario. But hilarious story all around. So
that's crazy. I completely forgot about that. That was 2 years ago. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, as long as he's not doing coin toss, great get for the Ravens.
Yeah. Officially banned from coin tosses, even if they do play in Carolina, which I don't think they do this year. Yeah, that Ravens defense is stacked if everyone can stay healthy. Malachi Starks, Kyle Hamilton, Jaire Alexander, Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins. They got Chidobe Awuzie this offseason as well.
Again,
Then of course,
a good pickup for a guy who used to be a CB1. Now, there are some concerns with the Ravens as far as if they all get injured, if they're all regress because of age, injury, doesn't matter. But I think if you're a Ravens fan, you could talk yourself into being, the upside of those guys, though, is top 2, top 3 defense in the NFL. So, I'm impressed by what the Ravens have done.
Yep. Like you said earlier, I think it is kind of a low risk, high reward move for the Ravens. So, and I think it's probably a good move for him as well. Like you said, I think this is a good spot for him to go to where he doesn't have all the pressure on him. He's just got to find a way to stay healthy. Shemar Stewart, the first round draft pick of the Cincinnati Bengals, still not signed. Sterling, you are the show's contract expert. Break down what is going on with Shemar Stewart and why he's not been signed yet. It sounds like this is a Cincinnati problem.
Correct. And I know there's a couple of accounts, Bengals accounts on the X that are trying to spin it. Well, it's because they're fans of the organization, so of course they're trying to spin it that way. Now, what is being asked is not the most unusual in contracts in the NFL. There has been, at times, a precedent for this, but never in the Cincinnati Bengals organization, and I have no idea why they're trying to start it right now. Basically, it comes down to there's a specific wording in this specific rookie contract that would allow the team to void future guaranteed money if Stewart defaults on the contract, even for on-the-field, off-the-field reasons. I don't know why the Bengals are all of a sudden trying to do this now. It's absurd. And if there was something in regards to an off-the-field issue that had them concerned with Shemar Stewart, wouldn't we have heard of that by now? Wouldn't we have heard a leak, an anonymous source leaks that this is why? We have heard nothing of that regard. This is perplexing to put it mildly. The Bengals have already had issues now with Trey Hendrickson. I don't know what they're trying to do. Shemar Stewart has more leverage than one might think because he could go back to college, or he could just enter next year's draft and just say, I'm done with the Bengals. Bengals lose that first rounder. They lose that first round draft pick, and he enters the draft next year. Is that ideal? No, it's not ideal. But again, if you're Shemar and saying, hey, I just don't even want to play for your organization anymore, he does have options. It's not like he can join a new team this season because you do have the rights for a year until the next draft. But that is a interesting talking point to be had. Again, I feel bad for Bengals fans, right? I think that's very weird. Your first rounder is not on the team because the organization is trying to play hardball for some apparent reason. And if you're Shemar Stewart, I completely understand where he's coming from because the Bengals are not noted for being a great organization. Just go back to guys like Carson Palmer, right? I don't know where they go from here, but the Bengals just need to take out that wording, in my opinion, because this is getting absurd.
Yeah, this seems like another classic organization thing where sometimes management has an ego problem where they might even recognize that this is a stupid thing for them to do and it's an easy fix, but their egos won't allow them because then it'll seem like as if they lost this battle and they don't want to do that.
Yeah, I would be pissed if I was a Bengals fan, man. I just would not. I would not be thrilled. Between the Trey Hendrickson situation, losing Lou Anarumo, a lot of the defensive pieces because you had to pay Joe Burrow and Jamar and T. I just feel like the organization has not handled a lot of things the correct way.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, Sterling, NFL.com did an article that I thought was actually pretty fascinating, highlighting the unluckiest players from this past NFL season based on some statistics. Do you want to take, I think there's about 10 guys on this list. Can you guess any of these 10 players they have listed as the unluckiest players from last year?
Patrick Mahomes, of course.
No.
That's a good. What does unlucky mean?
Unlucky, if from going through this list, is that their stats should have or could have been better than they were. So it's not like an injury luck thing. And I'll explain more once I break them down. But can you guess one of the 10?
I'm assuming it's a Falcon. Bijan Robinson.
No.
Drake London.
No, this is
Kyle
not a Falcons
Pitts.
thing. No, it's not a Falcons thing.
Because it's difficult because then if you take injury into account, and I don't know if... Like Tank Dell, I would be like, that was unlucky last year.
Yeah, it's not injury based.
CJ Stroud, I think, got a little unlucky last year because all of his players got injured and his offensive line was ass. Laramie Tunsil for the amount of penalties that were called against him last year.
Okay, you're kind of on the right track for some of them now. Nico Collins is one of them because he was the wide receiver who had the most receiving yards negated by penalties last year. 142 receiving yards negated by penalties. So, yeah, you half got that one. I'll give you a half point. Most unluckiest player, which is kind of laughable, but it does make sense. Saquon Barkley, because he was tackled a league high 11 times on the opponent's 1 yard line.
Wow.
So in theory, like 11 touchdowns kind of taken. And we kind of knew this as the season was going on. Jalen Hurts kept stealing all these touchdowns from him because he got tackled on the 1 yard line 11 times. The next closest was 8 times.
That's insane.
Producer Sean in our chat here, he nailed one of them. Caleb Williams is on this list.
How was he unlucky?
Unlucky because he was the victim of 57 unblocked pressures and 13 unblocked sacks in 2024, both most in the NFL. Is that luck, or you just play behind a bad offensive line, though?
Or also, I think there's a big thing if it's unblocked. Part of me thinks pass protection as far as you're supposed to set it.
Sure.
We never will understand because we're not there. Who is the sack the fault of? The offensive line or the quarterback. But there's a lot of times when if it's just unblocked completely, a lot of times that was a missed assignment by the quarterback who sets the offensive line. Slide to the left, slide to the right, cha-cha real smooth. But at times it is on the quarterback.
Sure. Some other names on this list. Both Justin Herbert and Baker Mayfield, they were tied for the most passes dropped in the NFL this past season. They both had 25 of their passes dropped.
Herbert, I believe.
That's what I said. Herbert and Mayfield. What did I say?
That's what I'm saying. Like Herbert, I just Mayfield,
yes.
But like Herbert,
Herbert, it felt like every time I watched the Chargers, there was nothing but drop passes.
Correct.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Geno Smith. You were talking about penalties earlier with Nico Collins. Geno Smith, 249 passing yards negated by penalties, most in the NFL.
Wow.
Josh Jacobs, most rushing yards negated by penalties in the NFL. And finally, the sole defensive player on this list, Jared Verse, who was the defensive rookie of the year. He had 76 pressures, but tied for 95th in sacks. So he did fourth most pressures, but 95th in sacks.
Insane pressure numbers. The one thing I find interesting with Verse, though, wasn't he the dude that grabbed the face mask of, was it Sam Darnold or Joe Burrow in the end zone? Wasn't that Verse? And it should have been a safety? Or not a safety. It should have been a 15-yard penalty, and instead it was called a safety or a turnover.
That was the Vikings, Sam Darnold.
Yeah, wasn't that Verse, though, that did that?
Yeah, that makes sense. It was the Rams because I lost a bet because of that safety. Yeah.
Was it Verse or yes? I think it was Verse. So because of that, I can't consider him unlucky. Sorry.
All right, fair point. But there you go. So those might be actually some guys you may want to buy low on heading into this season, whether it's fantasy, whether it's some futures. I know I've already bet on Geno Smith to go over his passing yards total. It's like 500 yards lower than it was last year, than what he got last year in Seattle, and then add on 250 yards negated by penalties. So he's a guy I'm buying low on. But yeah, kind of an interesting list there that the NFL put out. All right, let's tier rank fan bases who we think deserve to win a Super Bowl. Now, I have written down 4 criteria for how we are ranking this. How much you want to weight each of these criteria is up to you, Sterling. You can have a personal preference. But these are the 4 things I'm keeping in mind when ranking fan bases who deserve a Super Bowl win. Number 1, length of time since last Super Bowl. This is a big reason why I hate the Chiefs and I never want to see them win, because they have enough Super Bowls. They've won a million of them the past 5 years, even though that's not possible. Length of time since City's last sports championship. Not as important as winning a Super Bowl in recent years, but I do look down on fan bases who live in a city who win a ton of championships. For example... Yeah, but Boston. But then I'm trying to think of a team that doesn't have a Super Bowl, but they have like other championships recently. San Francisco with Golden
Celtics.
State.
Celtics and Bruins and
but
Red
a
Sox.
ton of Patriots wins, though. I'm thinking of a team that does not have a Super Bowl win recently, but has wins in other sports. The Dolphins, Miami, the Panthers win Stanley Cups. So that is another criteria. Number 3, passion of fan base. How passionate the fan base is. That's pretty straightforward. And number 4, Sterling, I know you will use this for at least one team I'm thinking of. Likability of fans. The fans may not have a Super Bowl in recent history, may not have a championship in recent history, may be passionate, but maybe they're just a bunch of assholes. And you can rank them deserving of a Super Bowl less because you don't like them.
Fair.
That's going to be a little bit of a personal preference. Now, let's do our best, Sterling. I promise I will be unbiased when talking about the Falcons fans. You have to be unbiased when talking about Chiefs.
Will do.
All right. Any questions?
No questions.
All right, let's get started. New Orleans Saints. And by the way, our tier categories, we just kept them straight, just simple. S, A, B, C, D, F. F being the least deserving. S being top deserving, which may only be like 2 teams.
Fair.
Saints, how deserving are they of winning a Super Bowl?
C.
Probably the definition of C, right?
Yeah, because they won one not that long ago. I mean, it's been a while now, with Drew Brees. But they're a passionate fan base. They're a good fan base. They were a great host for a Super Bowl as well. So maybe I'm adding that into the equation. But very nice people. At least all the Saints fans I ran into down in New Orleans. I think you would agree, even being a Falcons fan. There were some very nice people down there.
Well, let's not get crazy.
Well, I think
saw like 3 different 28-3 posters.
Well, of course. That's just funny.
Yeah, but they weren't involved in that game. They haven't won a Super Bowl since then. They haven't been to a Super Bowl since then. Why are they doing that?
I think C for me. I think Saints are a C.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yes, they have a Super Bowl in what, 2008 was their Super Bowl win against the Colts. Haven't been back since. Passionate fan base. I agree with that. Other sports teams, though. Who else do they have? The Pelicans, and that's it? That's not good. So,
LSU Tigers.
LSU, you're right. LSU has won some championships, so that takes away a little bit. Yeah, I'll say likability of fans. I won't answer that question because obviously I hate the Saints and their fans. How would you rank them for likability of fans?
Yeah, I think they're fine. But
you never deal with them. You're on the opposite end of the spectrum.
I never interact with them, and the only ones I did were in person, and they were all lovely people. So I have no issue with Saints fans.
Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins. How deserving is their fan base of the Super Bowl?
I don't know. I don't feel like they're super passionate fans. Maybe I'm wrong. Dolphins and I feel bad if Dolphins fans are going to be like coming at me and they're super passionate.
This is going to get us in trouble with some fan bases. There's no avoiding that.
There's no avoiding it. But yeah, I don't think they have a super strong fan base overall. Also, it's a price you pay for the undefeated season. Sorry.
Yeah.
72 Dolphins.
You got Panthers back-to-back champs. You got the Heat have won,
multiple.
Won, 2 or 3. And then and then the Dwayne Wade one before that. D.
Yeah. D. I'm sorry.
Listen, you live in Miami. It's you don't need a Super Bowl.
No, you don't need a Super Bowl. You're correct. It's very warm there.
Yes.
Okay? Come on.
The Baltimore Ravens. Little bit of a tough one because I do think they're actually a very passionate fan base. I don't know about likability, maybe like right in the middle. But they do have some Super Bowls. 2000, obviously, and then the Joe Flacco year against the 49ers, probably a decade ago now. But they haven't won one in the Lamar Jackson era.
I will say this, and this is going to be part of my equation of what I'm voting on as well. Like, they've been consistently going to the playoffs and coming up short. Like, the Saints and Dolphins, I don't really feel as bad for because they never had a real shot. Like, they haven't had a whole bunch of real chances. The Ravens, I think there is a pain factor that I'm adding almost of, you've been good. You've gone to the playoffs, and then you've just collapsed. Like, I do think that fan base deserves that more than a team that consistently goes 7-10.
Well, the Saints had plenty of close calls late in Drew Brees' career, which is not that long ago. Like, when was that defensive, non-call defensive pass interference against the Rams? That wasn't that long ago.
No, agreed. Ravens are interesting. I almost want to C or B for me.
Okay, I would say I was going to say B. So I think they are a step above C.
Even though they've won more recently, it's just I feel bad for a lot of their fans for the collapses in the playoffs recently with Lamar.
Yeah,
I do. I just feel like that is a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. All right, this is going to be a fascinating one, Sterling. The Cincinnati Bengals, who obviously have an extremely strong case, but you have a personal issue with the Bengals. But the Cincinnati is one of the saddest sports cities in the United States. They don't have a Super Bowl win. They're 0-3 in Super Bowls. The Reds stink. They haven't been good in forever, and I think that's their only two teams. So it's a sad city in terms of sports history. I would say they do have a very passionate fan base. I think you can definitely say that. This is almost the entire reason I put in likability of fans was because of your history with the Bengals fans.
I have no issue with Bengals fans. I have no issue with the Bengals overall. I think they are a fan base that has gone through some pain. And for that reason, I'm putting them as an F because their fans stand for F. So for F off because they are a bunch of bleeps. I am so annoyed. They act like their history of the Bengals is the greatest. They act like the Patriots, the Steelers, the Cowboys. It blows my mind. Why do they think they're Nebraska football? Why do you, like, Indiana basketball at least was good at one point. Bengals, what are you doing here? Why are we going back to the Carson Palmer era Bengals as like, yeah, look at those. That was our history. And then Andy Dalton. Well, we won that one playoff game that one time against Kansas City. And then what'd you do in the Super Bowl? You choked. But for some reason, a game 5 years ago gives them so much run and leeway and chirpiness. It's perplexing, man. I don't know. I feel bad for their fans, the nice ones, because I think there's a lot of the 98% of Bengals fans that are good people, that are understanding and real. I'm like, yes, those people are S tier. But that loud 2%, and that's a lot of big accounts on Twitter too. A lot of big fan accounts on the X or of these Bengals fans are just ridiculous, delusional. That is an F minus. So I don't know where to go with the Bengals. If I had my druthers, that 2% is so loud, so ridiculous, so outlandish. I'm putting them in a strong F.
Here's the issue, though, Sterling, is those big fan accounts. I think every single team has them, and they're all really annoying.
But they're the worst of them. Like,
I think you're just exposed to Bengals fans more than other fans because of the past few years.
It's ridiculous. I've not seen big accounts from other organizations. The Bills. Yeah. I rarely am like, yeah, man, those Bills fans are annoying.
Well, those are tough because they don't have anything to say. Where the Bengals had that one win, so because of that, they can lean on it. Like the Bills wouldn't even have anything to say. Yeah, and listen, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
That's absurd. And that'd be like if the Bills just kept pumping their chest because they were excited about losing 4 straight Super Bowls. Like, that's what that would be like if they were stoked about losing 4 straight Super Bowls. The Bengals lost that Super Bowl. They didn't even win it.
I'll
do it, Ian. I'll do you this. Okay, I will acquiesce. Instead of saying F, I will say D for delusional.
As the unbiased voice, while I do recognize your issue with the fans' likability, I'm willing to lower it from an S to an A. No. But if we use the criteria of length of time since last Super Bowl and last city's championship like that, almost no one has as worse a history than the city of Cincinnati.
No, they don't. But you added the likability of fans, and they're a negative.
In your opinion, I've never had any issues with Bengals fans.
Just like you've never opinion.
But I took myself out of the Saints conversation because of my history with Saints fans.
I have no history with Bengals fans.
It sounds like you do. I
have no history. They come at me, dog.
Bengals are an A. I'm putting Bengals A.
Let it be known that I disagree. Let it be known.
It's known. Denver Broncos. Broncos, obviously the Elway years. Won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, so they have 3 Super Bowls the past 27 years, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. Colorado Avalanche have won a Stanley Cup a handful of years ago. The Rockies stink. The Nuggets, obviously, an NBA championship. So it's certainly not a city that's desperate for a championship. So that's negative points. Do they have a passionate fan base up in Denver?
Yeah.
Not really. Do they?
Oh, disagree. Very passionate.
Okay.
Very passionate. And for the most part, they're fine. Even as a Chiefs fan that hates the Broncos because that's what you grow up, you hate about two teams, Broncos and Raiders. I respect a lot of Broncos fans. I don't have a lot of issues with them. I just dislike them because it's like disliking your rival, but you still have that respect for them. And maybe that's partly because when we grew up, the Broncos always just kicked the Chiefs' ass, and it was just frustrating. Yep. They have great home field advantage. I'd go about C with Denver, and maybe that's being too lenient, but I'd go C.
You've made your case. I'll go C. The recent championships, I mean, Denver's spoiled right now, though.
Yeah, they can't go higher, and that's mostly based on the fact of the rest of the city.
Yes. New York Giants, who I kind of have a little bit of a beef with New York Giants fans because, yes, the past handful of years have been bad for them, but, like, Giants fans, like, love to tweet, like, oh, nobody has it worse than Giants fans. It's like, you have 2 Super Bowls the past 20 years. One of them upsetting, the undefeated Patriots. Like, I would have 20 years of hell if I could have 2 Super Bowls for the Falcons. So Giants fans don't have it as bad as they think they do. The city of New York, not a ton of championships lately, though, for how many teams they have.
Yeah, but also most of them are Yankees fans, right? It's Jets and Mets, and it's Yankees and Giants, so they at least have the better team. Although, again, who's won a Super Bowl or a World Series more recently? Royals, baby. I
will say this:
Giants fans.
I lived in New York, obviously, for 3.5 years. Not a football city.
Yeah, I don't really feel for them.
A lot of baseball talk, a lot of basketball talk. It's a big basketball city. It's not a football city. Now, maybe it's because I lived there while the Giants and Jets stunk. Maybe when they're good, it's more of a football city. But not. I've never really heard people talk football. It's all basketball. It's all baseball.
D.
I agree. Josh Woodson in the chat says Detroit Lions. Yeah, I think we know where the Lions are going to go.
Yeah.
Minnesota Vikings, though, a cursed city, a city that I feel for. Not only do they have a championship? Did the Twins ever win the World Series?
No, years ago. Then you have the Timberwolves, the Wild.
Shout out to the Minnesota Lynx.
Yeah,
they have a couple wins. They have a couple championships if you want to count WNBA.
They're a passionate fan base, and I've had no issue with Vikings fans.
Extremely passionate fan base.
I'd go A.
Minnesota United FC won in 2011 and 2014. Minnesota Twins last won in 91. The Vikings won They win the 69 Super Bowl, or was that the AFC Championship they won? Was that before or after the merger, 69? I think that was before the merger.
Chiefs. That was 1, right? No, that was against the Packers. 4 beat them. A.
You don't think the rest? You think they're A?
Man, they're in between. I'm sure, because I'm trying to think of who deserves to be an S, and if there's only 2 teams, if there's 3 teams, I'd put them in there.
Yeah, they won the NFL championship pre-merger, so no Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll go S.
I think S. I think they're passionate enough.
Skull.
Rams F. Nobody in LA. They won one recently. Nobody in LA cares about football. They're really the St. Louis Rams, in my opinion, even though I know pre that they were the LA Rams before that. Dodgers won the World Series, plenty of recent championships. Do I even know any Rams fans? No, not really.
Yeah.
F. And they've won one recently. If it's been a while since they won one, then yeah, maybe. But yeah, the Rams got to be F. Buccaneers, who I'm friends with a Buccaneers fan who claims that the Tom Brady, he doesn't even celebrate the recent Super Bowl because Tom Brady was the reason for it, which is a crazy take to have.
But I feel like that's, some people say that, because they feel like it was just like a gun for hire. But I'm like, you think the Vikings would care if they did that? Vikings would be.
Oh.
They would love that. Brett Favre would have won one. They would have claimed Brett Favre.
Oh,
right?
my God. Yeah, if Tom Brady came to Atlanta instead of Tampa Bay, even though I hated Tom Brady before that, if he came to Atlanta and won a Super Bowl, I'd parade him through the streets. Nobody would be a bigger Tom Brady fan than me.
Yeah, that's dumb.
So recent championships, plenty, both for the Buccaneers and for other. I mean, the Lightning is what I'm thinking of. I immediately go to hockey.
Baseball, they've been successful, like regular seasons, but not really great playoff runs. I'd go D. I mean, they won one recently. Yeah, they've.
Yeah, who cares about the Buccaneers winning again?
I do think they have a decent fan base, though.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. I would say, yeah, they're fine. The Lions, I think they're the definition of S, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do this.
Correct.
Did the Pistons win an NBA championship back in the bad boy Piston days?
2004.
Okay, so they have an NBA championship in 2004. Producer Sean says they have 2 NBA championships. They do have the Red Wings, who were like a dynasty for a long time. But lately, Detroit sports has been terrible, and the Lions have always been bad. 0 Super Bowls for the Lions. Haven't even been to a Super Bowl. So Lions football fans specifically, and they might be the most passionate fans out there.
Yeah.
And likable.
It's rare to find that, and maybe once they start winning, it turns around, because Chiefs were like that, if people remember, but then the Chiefs became hated. So
you either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah.
2 NFL championships, yes. Pistons 89, 90, and 2004. So, yeah.
2004, I remember, because that was the year when the Lakers beat up on them. Lakers had Karl Malone, Gary Payton. That was the year they had all the old guys come in. And the Pistons ended up having such stifling defense with like Rip Hamilton and Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Chauncey Billups. They kind of had the rule change. That was the hand check rule after that, because the scoring was so low that the NBA was like, yeah, let's kind of take out hand checking. This seems a little unfair for the defense. And then scoring skyrocketed because the Pistons were basically so good defensively. So I'll always remember that 2004 season for Detroit.
And like I said, the Red Wings have plenty of championships back then too. So, yeah, the city of Detroit as a whole has done well. Not so much recently, but overall has done well. The Lions have not, though. So, Lions are an S. Chicago Bears.
B
Obviously
for Bears?
What's that? B?
B for Bears. It's been a while, man.
It's been a while. Passionate fan base. I don't know about likability, though. They always think they're better than they are.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about the likability aspect. That definitely knocks them down at least a peg.
I do think they're probably B, though. I mean, they got the Cubs, though. Cubs recent championship. Blackhawks had a dynasty there for a while. I still think it's B, though. They're so passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll go B. 49ers. Kind of tough because they've lost a few. Gotten to the Super Bowl and lost. But also with San Francisco. C?
I mean, yeah, and they also had the Steve Young and Joe Montana.
Yeah, they had their glory days.
I know it's been a while, obviously, but like they're known as one of the most historic franchises in NFL history.
Yeah.
I mean, C, I guess,
C,
but I could go lower if you wanted to, and I wouldn't even be mad.
No, I think I give them a little bit of credit because they're 0-3 in recent Super Bowls. Like, it sucks to get that close that many times in a row and lose.
I do like the majority of their fans, though. So
yeah, they're fine. Eagles, F. They just won.
F.
Who wants to see the same team win twice in a year? F. Nobody wants. Who cares? No. Sean, stop.
No. F. We're being unbiased.
Also,
Sean.
talk about likability. No offense, Sean, but likability. I mean, I kind of like Philadelphia fans, but like they got to be the least likable sports fans in the world. All Philadelphia fans. No, we're not. We're not the Falcons yet. Let's put that down. Raiders here. Yeah, that's a good question because do you count them as? Is it Vegas or is it Oakland? If it's Vegas, F. They just got a team.
That is hard. That's a good question.
But if you pull in Oakland,
I'll go B or A with the Raiders.
What?
Yeah, man, they're psychos.
But it's Vegas, though.
They're psychos.
That's the question. Is it Vegas or is it Oakland?
I'm going to take Oakland in as well. I'm going to take in the passionate ones that went over with them. As much as I hate, again, if any team, it's probably the Raiders that I dislike the most. But I respect the hell out of them. They're psychos. They're dumb. They're ridiculous. They're dangerous.
Yeah.
But you can't say they don't care about their team. You can't say they're not passionate. When you dress up like that, dude, you're passionate.
Oakland Raider fans stay with their team? Because when the St. Louis Rams moved to LA, most St. Louis Rams fans stopped cheering for that team. Do Oakland Raider fans still cheer for the Raiders? I don't know the answer to that question.
I think a lot do, but I do think a good chunk fell off.
I think we got to go B. If you're between A and B, it has to be B.
I'll go B. I just think that they are very, very passionate, and there's no denying the passion that they have. And I just that's to me, they get a huge boost just from that alone. I know it's Vegas, so it makes it a little more difficult and all that stuff. But
if we counted Vegas by itself, it'd be F. I just want that.
Correct. Agreed. But also, they built a stadium in Vegas, and your arch rivals go in there and win a Super Bowl before you even win a playoff game in there. That also is tough. A kick in the stones.
And the Golden Knights already have a championship too, which is crazy.
Yeah, but imagine if the Falcons built a new stadium, they don't even play a playoff game, and the Saints win and won a Super Bowl in there. That would suck.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Packers, passionate fan base, knowledgeable fan base. They do have some championships though. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. And not super recent. Aaron Rodgers pretty young in his career when he won it, but recent enough that I certainly don't feel bad for them.
I don't feel bad for them, but I do feel a little bit like they should have won more. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier, where it's like, well, if you keep getting there and you always come up short, like, it almost is more painful, right? I'd go B, I think, for the Packers. I think I'd go B, actually, that I think about it more.
Okay, I respect the Cheeseheads. I'll put them in B. I was between B and C. I'll put them in B. It's been a little time. That championship, I was in, I think, my senior year of high school. So, I mean, it's been some time. Washington Commanders.
Man, well.
Tough one.
Their organization has put them through some bleep.
Are they a passionate fan base, though? When you think of the most passionate fan base in the NFL, do you think of the Commanders?
I do not think of the Commanders.
I don't. Recent
Capitals?
championships, no, obviously. Capitals
Wizards.
won recently. Wizards stink.
Nationals won one not that long ago.
Nationals won one, yeah. I think Commanders are a C for me.
Yeah, I'll go C.
Yeah, I think they're a C. Cardinals.
Man, that's tough.
Another fan base I just don't feel like is passionate. But, I mean, I do know some Cardinals fans.
C.
Diamondbacks have a World Series, 20 years ago?
20 years ago.
They just lost their hockey team.
Phoenix Suns,
yeah. C?
I'll go C.
I can't really judge their likability because I don't know enough Cardinals fans.
Sorry, Cardinals fans. If you're a Cardinals fan, reach out to us. We want to know more about you.
Make a case, and we'll move you up in the rankings.
We'll listen.
Yeah. Steelers. Definitely passionate. Have a recent Super Bowl when they beat the Cardinals, which was still, I guess, a little while ago.
A bit ago.
But they had a Super Bowl in the early 2000s as well, mid 2000s. Likability, knowledgeable. I actually don't like Steelers fans.
Yeah, I've had some bad interactions.
Yeah, I actually really don't like, now that I think about it, I've had some, might be the actual fan base I'll decide Saints fans and Patriots fans that I like the least.
Yeah, I don't know where to put them. I don't feel bad for Steelers fans, but they're all very passionate.
They are passionate.
I'm actually not even, I don't think C's on the table. I think it's B or D. Like, I don't think C's on the table.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think C's on the, like, I can't just be like, yeah, they're fine. Because I don't like a lot of them, but they're also very passionate.
But yes, but when I close my eyes and I say, like I picture the Steelers winning the Super Bowl this year, I'm not like, man, I feel good for Pittsburgh fans. They really deserve that.
You're right. I don't feel like they deserve it.
No, D.
D for not deserving.
D for not deserving. I will
don't
not
deserve.
be happy for Steelers fans if they win.
Yeah, it's a good call. If I close my eyes, I'm like, they win. I'm like,
it's kind of what this list is about. If you picture the team winning the Super Bowl this year, is there part of you that feels happy for their fan base, not the players, the fan base? Detroit fans, yes. Minnesota fans, yes. Bengals fans, for me, not for you, yes. Ravens, yes. Bears, yes. Packers, yes. Raiders, if you count the old school Oakland fans, then yes. The Steelers, no.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't feel for them.
Bills are S. It's Bills and Lions. Like if there's an A+, maybe that's where the Vikings should be, because I think the Bills and Lions are a half a step above the Vikings. But yeah, I mean, and they have no championships of any sort, I don't think. Is there a Buffalo team that's won a championship? Is it anyone? Sabres don't have a Stanley Cup. No.
Then no.
Brett Hall's foot was in the crease. Real hockey fans will know what I'm talking about. Brett Hall's foot was in the crease. Other than that, no.
4 straight losses.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, they are actually like a tier of its own.
Lions and Vikings might be in the same category. Might be Bills S+.
I think Bills are by themselves.
Yeah.
I feel so bad. And again, I'll tell you this, even as a Chiefs guy, a lot of Chiefs fans probably disagree with me, but I like a lot of Bills fans. They've always been realistic for the most part, kind, giving, charitable. I mean, again, dude, I think Bills fans, they probably have it the worst.
Yep.
Yeah.
And heartbreaking losses too.
It's not like
the 13 seconds against the Chiefs, the wide right against the Giants in the Super Bowl. Just heartbreak after heartbreak. This year, again against the Chiefs, they're not easy losses to take.
If Patrick Mahomes wasn't around playing football, the Bills probably have a couple of rings.
Yep.
But it's just unfortunate. I you know my thoughts. I feel real badly for Bills fans.
Yep. We got to move it along a little bit here, but Falcons. I'll let you go first.
No, I'm kidding. They had the Braves, who were very, very successful, but kind of underwhelming a lot of times in the playoffs, although they did win one recently. Hawks, they're just okay. I'll give you my case, and then you decide. B. Yeah, okay. I think it's between B and C. Likability, I don't think there's anything wrong with Falcons fans, but maybe I take that down a little bit by myself, unfortunately. Recent championships, Falcons obviously don't have a Super Bowl. They're 0-2 in Super Bowls. Braves have won a World Series. Hawks have kind of sucked. Well, they're kind of like a borderline playoff team every year. They lost the Thrashers. They have the Bulldogs, though. Georgia Bulldogs. Fair.
A big thing about the Falcons, though, and I'm just going to be honest, not passionate. When they're not good, the stadium is not loud, and even when they're half decent, it's not really that loud of a stadium to begin with. The passionate fans are passionate. There's a ton of very passionate fans, but the level's pretty low. We don't have that kind of mid-tier level of fan that shows up and cheers. We either have fans who are crazy passionate or don't care. They pump fake crowd noise into their stadium and got caught doing it. Like, it's just...
Oh, yeah, C or D after that. Actually, I forgot about that. That's a C or D.
But you got to feel bad for the 28-3 game.
I do feel bad. C.
I think it's C, unfortunately.
I forgot about the crowd pumping in noise. That was bad.
Credit to me for being honest. I think Falcons are a C.
I'll give credit to you.
Thank you. Seahawks. Passionate. Have a recent championship, though. Ish.
I almost say B because they have one, but they also have that one that stands out so bad. And like, it's close to 28-3.
Yeah. But also, I don't...
That's pretty close to 28-3.
I don't think they're likable, though, because of the whole 13th man thing or 12th man or whatever it is in American football, 12th man. Hey, stop. Who cares?
It's annoying because like there's a legit Guinness Book of World Records for the loudest stadium, and it's the Chiefs. It's Arrowhead. And Seattle's like, no, it's us.
Yeah, and as producer Sean just said, they created the stadium to amplify noise. They cheated via architecture.
And it makes me laugh. I'm like, well, how can you... There's a legit record book. And they're like, no, it's us. It's us, guys. It's like, what are you talking about? Guinness did this. An unbiased source said this. It's crazy to me.
C or D?
D.
D, I agree. D. Screw Seahawks fans. Patriots, if there's an F-, it'd be the Patriots.
Still, yeah, I feel
You've
bad.
had your Super Bowls. It could be 50 years from now. I don't care. I'd be like, you had too many.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see the Patriots win the Super Bowl. Cleveland, A. Might be the second A team.
A. Yes.
I mean, they had the Cavs there with LeBron a couple years, but did the team formerly known as the Cleveland Indians win? No, they
lost.
They did win. Did they
win
the World Series or lost?
That
was the team that lost to the Cubs. What team beat the Mets in the World Series? Is that the Royals?
Yes, 2015.
Gotcha. Yeah, so didn't win with that team. They had the couple Cavaliers championships, but Cleveland's a sad city to begin with. I feel bad. I mean, the Browns have been a disaster for decades. I think Cleveland's A. I think it's fitting that they're right next to the Bengals.
Agreed.
Texans, kind of too new a team for me to care. I know they're 23 years old now, but to me it feels like, yeah, okay.
Trastros. I hate the Astros, which almost hurts the Texans. I like the Texans, hate the Astros. Astros,
yeah, a D.
Astros bring him down. Sorry, Texans. If you didn't have the Astros, you're a B. But because you are in the same city as the trash can tros, you're a D. Sorry.
Yeah. Now, Sterling, we got the Chiefs. I'm going to just be honest. Credit to me for being unbiased, but me, be honest.
Yeah. Passionate fan base.
Sure.
Some lunatics.
Quite literally, yes.
Chiefsaholic.
Yes. F. Come on. Nobody wants to see the Chiefs win another Super Bowl.
D.
No. F.
What?
F. Too many. Yeah. If this was post one Super Bowl, even if this was post two Super Bowl, okay, I'll give you a D. Too many.
Okay. Hey, passionate fan base, though.
Passionate fan base.
Through good times and bad. Right?
Passionate fan base.
They show up.
Yep. Cowboys. F.
F.
Might be the worst football fan base in the world.
Even
though they haven't won one since the 90s. Nobody outside of Cowboys fans would want the Cowboys Super Bowl.
No, yeah. Chargers.
Tough because they're in LA. D. I think they have to be D. Credit to them is one step above the Rams.
Yeah, D. Sean, D for doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I'd be happy for them. The 12 fans they have, I'd be happy for those 12.
Yeah. One of my best friends is a Chargers fan, so I'd be happy for him.
Jets, man.
Oof. I'd put them above the Giants. Jets might be a B.
They're weird, man. They're a weird fan base.
Yeah.
Like Fireman Ed and all that stuff, like complaining about he's not getting enough like TV time.
Yeah, Fireman Ed's a muppet.
Like if I take him out of the equation, I'm going B. Okay, let it be known.
Let's just take him out of the equation.
We're taking Fireman Ed out of the equation, and we're going to put the Jets as a B. And they also have a great chant. Jets.
Great point.
Jets. It's a great chant.
Great point.
Okay, so Eagles do have a great chant too, but their like mayor was like EGLSES. And they can't even spell correctly, so they have to be an F for that reason, too.
And I will say in my time in New York, while it's not really a football city, the passionate football fans I found were Jets fans.
Correct.
I don't know if I talked to a single passionate Giants fan.
Fair.
Panthers. Who cares? What?
Yeah, who cares? I think who cares is the correct answer.
D, I guess, because they're not as bad as the other teams, but like D.
Yeah,
Who cares? They like college basketball.
Tennessee's B. Or C. I'll go C for Tennessee. I think they're a decent fan base. Hard part is they don't even sell their own stadium a lot of times because it's opposing fans that buy those tickets because it's Nashville. So I feel bad because not all their fault, but I do think tickets get slightly inflated because it's a fun place to travel to. And if you're a Midwestern team, like I know Kansas City, it's like, yeah, let's go to Nashville, let's go to the Titans game, and it'll be more Chiefs fans than Titans fans.
It is an issue with southeastern states and cities that they just kind of like college football more. So if we were ranking college football fan bases, Tennessee would be like an S or an A.
Yeah.
But they're just not, and it's brings the Falcons down
F
too
because they're just delusional. But yeah, I get your point.
But in terms of passion,
yes,
it's the same thing with the Falcons. Most of the big football fans are Georgia Bulldogs #1, Georgia Tech #2, Falcons #3, and it's the same thing in Tennessee.
I'll go Tennessee C. I'll give them a C because I think
yeah,
I
I think
would
they're
be.
C.
I'd be fairly happy because they had some years and then they fired Vrabel and they've had some. Yeah, I
Came
like
within
Tennessee.
1 inch of tying it against the Rams in 2000.
100%. So yeah, I'll go C or bordering B. I think. Colts, I actually will go. Oh man,
Colts had the Peyton Manning one though.
they had the one, but it's almost like again the same thing where it's like it's. I'll put them B with Green Bay because to me they're very similar to Green Bay where it feels like they should have won more, where it's almost a letdown. You know what I'm saying? Because
I will say B. If the Pacers come back and beat the Thunder, I'm dropping them to C.
Fair.
Deal. Jaguars. D again, I guess.
I would be happy for the folks of Duval.
There are a small handful of very passionate Jaguars fans.
I know a few, and they're pretty delusional, but they're like funny delusional, where it's like they understand their delusion. And D does stand for Duval, but I almost want to say B because I would be very happy for a lot of Jags fans. I would. Be.
Right.
They've had some real tough years, dude.
Okay, I'll go B. That aesthetically evens things out a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, I like this. I feel good. I feel strong.
Yeah, I think this is good. I think I'm still stuck with the Vikings. I don't know if the Vikings are S or A.
I told you I said A originally. Did I not? Let the record show. I originally said A.
Based on what reason though?
That
like
they
shouldn't
just
they
don't,
be the right?
They should be, but like my gut's telling me it's Bills, Lions, Vikings 3.
But is it that they're not as passionate as the Lions or Bills fans? Is that
No,
what it
I feel like they are as passionate. And I feel like they're nice. I have not. You know what? Keep them in there. They've had a lot of heartbreak too. I mean, they've had some short chipped missed field goals that I feel just awful for.
Yeah. So there you go. Bills,
like
Vikings, Lions S, Bengals, Browns A, Ravens, Bears, Raiders, Packers, Jets, Colts, Jaguars B, Saints, Broncos, 49ers, Commanders, Cardinals, Falcons, Titans D, Dolphins, Giants, Bucks, Steelers, Seahawks, Texans, Chargers, Panthers D, and then Rams, Eagles, Patriots, Chiefs, and Cowboys F.
I think Chiefs should be S, but that's fair.
Yeah, in my opinion, recent Super Bowls takes a huge hit. That's why a big reason why the Rams are down there. The Cowboys are the only team who haven't either won a recent Super Bowl or won 85,000 of them recently. That's an F, and that's self-explanatory.
Yeah. We did a good job, Ian. I'm proud of us.
I'm happy with this tier list. This was a good one. All right, that is the show. We'll be back next week. No, I will not. I won't be here next week.
Wow, you hate the show.
Next week
Nice.
is the first week of I think 4 or 5 that I'm going to miss this summer. Unfortunately, it's a busy summer for your boy.
Wow, cool. No, that's fine.
Yeah. Is there a show next week with Cody potentially filling in for me?
Could be.
Could
we'll
be.
find out next Wednesday.
Yes, there is. Cody will be on the show with you, Sterling, next week. You guys can tier receivers if you want, or you can do something else. It's your show to run. Next week.
I'll tier Ian moments.
Perfect.
We'll call it MacMillan moment. We'll call it MacMillan moments.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Subscribe to the Stack in the Box YouTube channel. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. Sterling will talk to you next week. Take care. Bye.